Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Purity. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, share, and please subscribe. Today we are crocheting this beautiful dress, and this is how it looks. This is the back. It has this band running from the neck all the way to the lower back, and this is how the front of the dress looks like that, and it has the ribbing at the waist, and I put ruffles at the end. So let's get started with the work. To work on this beautiful dress, we will start with the body. The body, I mean the lower part. This is the body. We'll start with this part, then work on this band. We have the waistband. That will be the second area to work on. And then we'll work on the upper part. This is the upper part. Then we will put the bands, then finish up with the beautiful ruffles at the end. Okay, that is how we will work on this beautiful dress. Using thin yarn, this is 100% acrylic yarn. I will double my yarn to get the medium weight effect yarn, and I am using two types of yarn, white and orange, and I'll use different shades of orange. To crochet, we are using a 3.0 mm hook. You'll need a pair of scissors, tape measure, a darning needle to stitch in your ends, and stitch markers for this project. To begin, as I said, I'm doubling my yarn to get the medium weight effect. I begin by making a slip knot, and this is how we make a slip knot. And then we will do chains. So take your hips measurements, and that's how long you're going to chain. Kindly note, as you chain, stretch your work until it hits your hips measurements. So the more you chain, the more you stretch your work, and stretch it to your hips measurements. Do not overstretch your work. And as I said, we are starting from the middle part, which is the skirt like part. Then we'll work on the upper part. Okay, as I said, while you chain, you stretch your work. So right now when I stretch my work, it's at 20, and my hips measurement is 36 inches. So I will keep chaining and stretch until I get to 36 inches. Do that, and I'll meet you once you're done chaining up to your hips measurement. I am done, and now we want to join our work. So once you hit your hips measurements, you're going to straighten your work like this. Please make sure it's straight. This is how you make sure it's straight. Then you will join the beginning to the end like this, and then join using a slip stitch. This is how we make the slip stitch, and your work should be round like this. Okay, make sure your work is round, and once you're done, you chain 2, 1, 2, and now we want to work with our main stitch, which is the double crochet. Okay, once you chain 2, you're just going to the next stitch and work with a double crochet like that. That's our first double crochet, and we are going to work with double crochets all around, and I will meet you once you're done with row 1 of the double crochets. I'm at the end of row 1 and we are joining here using a slip stitch. I'm just doing my last double crochet there. Then we will join on top of chain 2. Remember when we started this we did 2, we chained 2, so we're going on top of chain 2 and join using a slip stitch like this. Go on top here, this is top of chain 2, and then you will join using a slip stitch like this. Okay, then you chain 2, turn your work, and we are beginning on row 2 of double crochets. Always keep that first stitch, go to the second stitch and work double crochets, and we are working double crochets all round. Okay, so we are working double crochets all round, and I'll meet you at the end of your work. So this is the main pattern. We're just going to work double crochets all round until where you want your dress to reach. Then that's when we will stop there. Okay, so for me I worked up to 13 inches length. We're just doing double crochets, and please remember to always turn your work, and at the end you join using a slip stitch. Okay, we are at the end of row 2, and as I said, we are joining using a slip stitch on top of the chain 2 like this. Go on top here, make sure it's on the top, and just join using a slip stitch. Sometimes it's quite difficult, but just make sure it's on top of chain 2. Okay, and then you chain 2, and then you turn your work. Okay, then you start with the double crochets. So that is the pattern, and I'll meet you once you are at the length where you want your dress to reach. Okay, I am done. As I said, I worked all the way to 13 inches length. That's how long I want my dress to be. And now we want to work at the waist ribbing. You'll find the middle of your skirt. The middle is where we have been joining. Okay, that's where the middle of your dress is. And now we want to work on the ribbing at the waist. Okay, before we start on the ribbing, remember at the end here we always finish up by doing a slip stitch like that. Then you chain 2, and now there is no turning. Okay, once you reached your length that you want your skirt to reach, there's no turning. We'll just go ahead and do front post and back post. To do a front post, you yarn over, go in front of that first double crochet like that, and complete that with the front post. The next stitch is a back post. This is the next stitch. Go in the back like this and finish like that. The next one is a front post. We go in the front of the stitch like this and do a front post, and we are going to work like this, alternating between front post and back post all through until we come here where you started working from. Okay, we are doing front post and back post all round, and I'll meet you at the end here. Okay, I'm at the end, and we are joining on top of chain 2 using a slip stitch. Okay, Once you're at the end here, go on top of this chain 2 here, like this, and join using a slip stitch like that. Then you chain 2, 1, 2, and now where there was a front post, we will put a front post like this. This is a front post. Now we put a front post. The next was a back post. You go at the back and put a back post. Okay, where there was a front post, put a front post, and where there was a back post, you will put a back post. And I went ahead and did 6 rows of front posts and back posts. Remember, you can do less or more depending on the width you want your waistband to have. Okay, so for my dress I did 6 rows of front posts and back posts. I am done, and this is how my skirt looks. I changed the yarn to something more brighter. This is how it looks, and this is thick yarn, so I don't have to double my yarn. And this is how the dress is looking as per now. We want to do the upper part. This is how the lower part of the dress looks, and this is the middle area. Now we want to work on the upper part, and we are using stitch markers. Put your stitch markers at the sides of the waistband. Put your first stitch marker at the side, and then you'll also put the second stitch marker. Remember, now we are working on the upper part of the dress. Okay, once your stitch markers are in, we want to now start working with the first row of double crochets. Go to the corner where you put your first stitch marker and remove the stitch marker, and insert your hook, reattach your yarn, and start working with the first row of double crochets. And to work with the double crochets, we're going on top of the waist ribbing and just doing the double crochets. I'm carrying along the yarn because I don't want to have so much work while stitching in, so I'm carrying along the yarn that is left hanging after I reattached my work. So you're doing a row of double crochets until you get to the other stitch marker. Okay, we are the second stitch marker. Remove the stitch marker and do the final double crochet where the stitch marker was. Then chain 2, turn your work. We are now turning from here. Remember, we are working on the front part of the dress, which is the upper part, and we're just doing a second row of double crochets, and we are working double crochets until you get to where our first stitch marker was. Okay, I'm here where we had our first stitch marker, and now we want to do our first decrease. Okay, finish up your first by chaining 2, then turn And now we are doing our first decrease. Okay, insert your hook in the first stitch like this and come out from the third stitch. Skip the second stitch and come out from the third stitch like that, and complete that by doing a double crochet. That's how we do our first increase. Then the next stitch is a normal double crochets, and please note we will be decreasing in the beginning of the row and the end of the row. So I just did my first decrease. We are decreasing in the beginning of the row and in the end of the row. I just did my first decrease, and I will do my second decrease, 3 double crochets to the last stitch. Okay, I'm doing my second decrease. Yarn over, go in this first stitch, skip this next stitch. There's always a stitch at the back here. Please always remember to go into that stitch, skip the second stitch and go to the last stitch there, and complete that by doing a double crochet. That is how we do our second decrease. Then you chain 2, turn your work, and immediately we are doing the next decrease. Okay, skip this first stitch, go to the second one, come out from the third stitch like that, and that is our first decrease in row 2. Okay, please note we are decreasing in the beginning of the row and the end of the row, and we are going to do decreases until your work reaches 4 inches. Okay, I did 4 inches of decreases. Okay, I went ahead and did the whole thing, but I want to show you how it's done. So for the decreases, I did 3.2 inches. Not 4 inches. 3.2 inches of normal decreases. Once you hit 3.2 inches of normal decreases, you'll continue with the pattern, which is just normal double crochets, no increases or nothing, just normal double crochets until you hit 8 inches long, or up to where you want your upper part of the top to reach. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, we are now doing the edging at the upper part of our dress, just finishing up on the last double crochet there. Then we will do edging on this side of the top and also the other side of the top. So to do edging, you chain 1, and we are using single crochets. Okay, we're just going down with single crochets in each stitch, and I'll meet you at the bottom of your work. Then I'll show you what next we are working on. Okay, I'm at the end here. I just did my last single crochet. Once you're done, you chain 1 and you're going up the same row of single crochets that we did, and we're just doing another row of single crochets. And we're also going to work on the holes where our bands will pass through. So to do that, we're going to skip 1 stitch. First you'll chain 2, yarn over, skip this stitch, go to the next one, and we complete that by a double crochet like that. That's how we make the holes where our bands will pass. And after that, we are continuing the pattern, which is single crochets. You can see the hole is made, and we're continuing the pattern, which is single crochets, and we will also make another hole after 3 single crochets. Okay, so we chain 2, yarn over, skip this stitch, go to the next one and complete that by doing a double crochet like that. Then we will continue with single crochets. Okay, so that's how we make the holes where the bands pass by. So we'll do that, and you can make as many holes as you want, but I just made 3 holes on each side. The next one we will make here, and then do single crochets all the way up. Okay, this is how my work looks. I went ahead and did a second row of single crochets, and inside the holes, go inside them and do 4 single crochets in each one of them, just to make it more stronger. Okay, once you're done with that, you'll do a row of single crochets at the top here, then go to the other side and repeat the same thing that we did. Okay, so I will meet you once you're done working on the other side of your upper part of the dress. After finishing doing the edging all round, we are going to work on the bands. And to work on the bands, we're just chaining. I chained 300 on this side and also 300 on the other side. Okay, that's how long I wanted my bands to be, so that it goes all the way to the back and also to the waist. So you can chain 300 or more depending on how big you are. And I'll meet you once you're done with your bands, so that you can work on the ruffles. And to work on the second band, remember we will go on top of the upper part of our top here at the tip, and reattach your yarn, and we're also going to chain 300. Okay, so it's 300 chains on each side. Once you're done with your bands, you'll go ahead and put them, and this is how we put the band at the waist area. We just go in and out of the front and back panels until you get to the middle, and that's where we'll stop, and also put the next band in and out until you get to the middle. Remember, this band helps with the adjusting the waistband also, and also the back of your top. So do that, and I'll meet you once everything is well fixed, and we will do the ruffles of the skirt, of the dress, sorry. Okay, we are done with that, and now we want to work on the ruffles. And to work on the ruffles, we will go in the middle of our skirt here and reattach your yarn. Once your yarn is reattached, you chain 2, yarn over, and we are going to do 3 double crochets in every stitch for row 1. Okay, this is the first row, and we are doing 3 double crochets in every stitch all round. Okay, I am done with row 1, and this is how it looks. To begin row 2, we are doing a slip stitch here where we finished working. Just join using a slip stitch on top of chain 2. Like that, and then chain 2, and now we begin our second row. We are not turning our work, and our second row of the ruffles is 2 double crochets in each stitch. Okay, row 1 was 3 double crochets in each stitch, row 2 is 2 double crochets in each stitch, and for row 3 we will work 1 double crochet in each stitch. So that's how we work on the ruffles, and I'll meet you once you're done. Remember, for row 3 we will work 1 double crochet in each stitch. Row 2 is 2 double crochets in each stitch. Okay, this is how my ruffles turned out to be, and for row 2 and row 3 I used the white yarn, and this is how we make these beautiful ruffles. I'm hoping this tutorial was easy enough to follow through, and please remember to tag me in your posts if you make this, and again remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, give this video a thumbs up, and comment on my videos. This is how my dress looks. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. See you in my next tutorial. Goodbye.